Okay, we are live. So can you tell us who you are?
My name is Carrie. This is my husband, Matt.
Can you speak a tiny bit louder?
Yeah.
You're Carrie and you're Matt.
Yes.
And this
This
is
is Cash. He's our
Cash.
youngest.
He's your youngest, okay. And has Cash had any vaccines?
Cash has not had any vaccines.
None at all?
None at all.
How old is he?
He's 4.
Okay. All right,
Cash,
let's
can
go
you say
through.
hi?
You don't have
Cash,
to.
Cash just woke up from a nap, so he's
Yes, we all know what that's like. Okay, let's talk about your son Mason.
Yeah. So our son Mason,
Was he your first child?
he was not. He was our second child.
Second child.
Mason was born January 25th, 2016. He was healthy, happy, a good, happy baby. We did what every good parent does, and we vaccinated him because the doctor told us to. Sorry,
It's
life,
okay,
life of a mom.
I totally understand. And what did he get?
So Mason received. We delayed. We didn't do it at the hospital because I was unsure, and that intuition thing, I think, is probably the biggest thing that I wish I'd done differently. I knew from day one that we shouldn't do it, and I let doctors talk me into it. There's actually a whole case, it's called Making the Case for Vaccine Hesitant Parents, and it's a course that doctors take, I think through Mayo or John Hopkins, or one of them. I actually have the PDF that doctors see printed out, and I've read it, and it's an entire course that doctors take on how to manipulate parents into vaccinating their babies, with catchphrases.
Do you remember some of them? What do they say?
They're safer to get it. They're better off to get it. These diseases are horrible childhood diseases, and you're better to have these vaccines than better safe than sorry. Like all those things that you go into the doctor's office and they tell you, and so you're scared. They scare you. They intimidate you into getting these. And even though, it's crazy looking back now. I look back through his medical records, and at every single visit, it literally puts on there, Mom was hesitant about vaccines. Mom was hesitant about vaccines at every visit, and I didn't trust myself. I didn't listen to the voice inside me where God was saying, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. And I let a doctor who didn't know us and didn't know our baby, I let him make the decisions for me, and I let him bully me, and as a result, we have one less boy to be at our house today.
So when did he get his first vaccine?
His first vaccine was, I believe he was 2/2 of 2016. So he was born 1/25 of 2016. So it was like a week or two later. And that was the hepatitis vaccine, because I remember at the hospital telling them, he doesn't need that because we don't have hepatitis, and we're not drug addicts, and we're not sexually active in the community. So there wasn't a need for it. And so we didn't do it at the hospital, and then we got to the doctor's office, and man, he laid it on, and you need to do this. At that point was right when they were starting to tell parents that if you didn't vaccinate your kids, you couldn't come into the clinics. That was when pediatricians were just starting to push people out for not getting them. I didn't know then. What I know now is that they receive compensation from the insurance companies for having a quota of parents that have patients that are vaccinated within their clinics.
So at 1 week old, he had Hep B.
I'm sorry?
At 1 week old,
At
he had
1
Hep
week
B.
old, he had the Hep B, and we progressed on the normal schedule. At 3/23, he would have been 2 months old, and we did the 2-month-old round.
Which was what?
That was the DTaP. They did another Hep B, a Hib, and an IPV. I believe that's the polio one. And Prevnar 13.
Oh my God, that child had a horrific
Rotavirus.
amount.
Yeah. Hi. Yeah. The two fire
Triangle,
trucks.
circle, and square.
A triangle, a circle, and a square. Yes.
That was at 2 months old.
That was at 2 months old. Yes. So he, and at that point he was still developing fine. He, when you'd put him on his belly, he would still sit up. I call it like the baby turtle, where they put their chest up and they'd kind of look around. He was still able to do that, and after the 2-month vaccinations, he lost that ability. He developed a condition called hypotonia, which is also called floppy baby syndrome. It's listed as a reaction on the vaccine inserts, and it's basically where his head would just flop like this all the time, and he couldn't hold it up anymore. And I remember going to the doctor's office and saying, this doesn't seem right. He could hold his head up. He can't hold his head up anymore. And the doctor said, well, he has torticollis. And, I'm not a doctor. I'm not versed in all of these things. And I said, okay. And he said, well, let's sign him up for physical therapy. And
At 2 months old.
2 months old. The wait list in our area for physical therapy was about 2 months to get in. It took us quite a while to get in, and during that time his 4-month round of shots came up, and he had another round.
So the doctor even though we've got issues,
Yeah.
the doctor still thought it was a good idea to go ahead and give him some more. And what did he get?
At 4 months old, he got another round of the DTaP, another Hib, another IPV, another Prevnar 13, and another rotavirus. And 5 days later, he died. And in his autopsy, the coroner said that there was no issues with the sternocleidoid mastoid in his neck, which is the muscle that's responsible for torticollis. So if he had had torticollis, whether you're living or not living, that muscle is still deformed. So if he had had torticollis in the autopsy, it would have shown up, but it wasn't there, which they said was further proof that it was probably the hypotonia and not torticollis.
The pediatrician who gave these shots to your son, where is that person? Is he still practicing?
He's still practicing. I went back to him. I showed him the autopsy report. I took him the VAERS report, or the VAERS paperwork, and said, even if you don't think that the vaccine caused this, you still have an obligation under the law to report it. You still have to report everything that's within this realm as a potential side effect. And he said he wouldn't do it.
He wouldn't.
Refused. He had been our family doctor for 10 years. He didn't even come to the funeral.
That is absolutely disgusting.
Yeah.
You guys, I'm really sorry this happened to your baby. We put him on the bus. Look, peeps, look. There he is. He's on the bus already.
We did move forward with a vaccine court case.
So you reported it yourself?
We did, yeah. We self-reported it to VAERS, and we decided to go ahead and hire an attorney and take it to the vaccine court. We were making some headway there until the court case that ours was, the case that we were using as precedent for our case was reversed by our own government. So I don't know, obviously obviously you guys are familiar with the vaccine court, but you can't sue the pharmaceutical companies. They're exempt from any kind of legal ramifications for faulty products or injuries that they cause to anybody. And so you basically filed this vaccine report it's a court of special masters. And within that court of special masters, they review your case and review it against other cases, which is the precedent. And the family that our precedent was, the case that our precedent was being stated on, had actually gone to court. I mean, almost word for word, the exact same story as our little boy. He had had the same vaccinations, died in the same time frame. Like everything was almost, it's like copy and print from what we went through. And they won, and it was a huge victory for the court, or for the family. And then they reversed it. They appealed their own decisions. The court revealed their own.
It's unbelievable.
Reversed their own. Sorry, I wish I could be more eloquent.
You are. You're telling a very difficult story, and we're really grateful. Is there anything else you want to add to the story?
I think. Sorry, 4 is fun. I wish that more people knew. I wish that for moms, trust yourself.
Yeah.
Trust your instinct. These are your babies. They're yours. They're not the doctors. They're not our governments. They're not the school districts. They're your babies, and it's our responsibility to keep them safe. Everything within me said, "Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it." And I let somebody else who gets to go home to his kids. He gets to go home and hug his babies. And I get to go to a cemetery to see mine.
I'm sorry.
And, it's just one of those where, you can't allow them to bully you. You have to go in and be firm. You have to know that, what's right in your heart. And, sorry, I bet he's going to go home to mourn. You have to trust yourself. I think, yeah. I wish that somebody had just told me, trust yourself.
Yeah.
And I bet nobody did. I didn't have a single person who spoke up and said, hey, research this, look into this. I think, for me, that would have been massive if just one person had said, hey, just do a little bit of research. Even if you still come to the same conclusion, at the end of the day, I would have known that I had at least known both sides of the story, instead of not knowing, not having the information. It's just, ignorance is not bliss.
Thank you so much, both of you, for telling your story. We really appreciate it. I'm so sorry for what happened to Mason.